Zugzwang. Noun, chess. A situation in which a player is limited to moves that cost pieces or have a damaging positional effect. Quote, "The best among us did not return." End quote. Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor. Chapter 1. Event X. She's easily the best in the gym, but that's the problem. Your daughter thrives on competition. If she can't train alongside older girls with better skills, I don't think we'll ever see her full potential. I had a 73.6% chance of surviving the zombie apocalypse. That was my sister Emmy's math, not mine. She said our odds were relatively high because she had it all worked out. Escape routes, a priority list, any special emergency kits she called bug-out bags, stocked with who knows what. Survival stuff, probably. I thought we'd never use them, but it was a good idea, like as a backup plan for some disaster. Not zombies, obviously. She kept teasing me that it could happen. I kept saying no, that was ridiculous. Turns out I was right. The aliens got me instead. I was in Chicago for a meet, warming up for my beam routine. I was going to do a backward half twist salto dismount, a tough skill because of the blind landing. I'd been nailing it maybe 85% of the time in practice, so I needed to stay focused. A loud, booming rumble shook the whole building, interrupting my concentration. The steel bones groaned, quiet for about 8 seconds. Then a section of roof and the entire wall tore out. I could see the cars parked in the parking lot. People screaming. A shadow fell over me in half the now exposed gymnasium. It was so strange, so out of place, I didn't even move. I just stood there, not understanding any part of what was happening, and a long, sticky something or other wrapped around my middle, and I was yanked high and backwards, and I blacked out. When I woke up, my throat felt like I'd swallowed a razor blade, my head pounded like a pop concert, and my skin was basically a giant crusty booger. On the bright side, I did feel, which meant I wasn't dead. Unfortunately, that's where the good news ended. I was cold. My new competition Leo was stiff and crackly, and something entirely too bright shined in my eyes. There was a strange medical stink hanging in the air, or maybe it was stuck deep in my nose. My wrists were caught in a weird pair of handcuffs, and I was lying on something hard, like cement or maybe ceramic tile. I sat up, fought a surge of nausea roiling in my gut, and blinked. I lay on a big, white hexagon tile in a huge empty room. I could barely make out walls, maybe 30 feet from where I sat. An empty, yawning black abyss surrounded my tile. Then another hex, its own little island with a body on it. And another. And another. That was it. No floors, no doors, no windows. Nothing but a big vault with platforms and bodies. It felt completely unreal, like a dream. For a while I thought it was. I struggled onto my feet and looked at those curled figures on their hex tiles and wondered, who were they? Other gymnasts? Couldn't be, they weren't wearing Leos. Where was Coach Donna? Were these people dead? One sat up slowly and looked around. Then another. Oh good, they weren't dead. I waited maybe 5 minutes. Usually things happened quickly in a dream, but I was cold, handcuffed, and a few inches from plunging into a bottomless pit. And nothing happened. I didn't try to escape. I guess because you don't escape from dreams. You just wait for everyone to turn into fish, or for someone to hand out rocket packs, or to discover your sister is sporting rhinestone underwear in the shape of rhinoceros, and she's trying to gore you with them for no other reason than she finds it hilarious. Which it is, objectively, but in the dream, you're just really annoyed. Also, there wasn't any obvious place to escape to. A silent gray blob floated in front of me. maybe the size of a soccer ball. It settled right onto my hands and sucked them up. My heart galloped about 1,000,000 miles an hour. It wasn't warm or cold, but it was firm. It gently floated up, taking my hands with it, and it didn't stop. It lifted my arms, then my whole body, and this is where I started to freak out a little because it kind of hurt, and as far as I can remember, I've never experienced pain in a dream before, and the idea of all this being real was a little much. The blob carried me into line behind a row of others who gasped and squeaked and struggled as they drifted through the air. It reminded me of this documentary I saw once with all these skinned pig corpses hanging in a line. I had felt sorry for those poor small creatures. I never imagined I'd feel like one. I kicked and thrashed, stiff Leo crinkling and chafing against my skin. Then I remembered the drop and changed my plan. I risked a look around, and the creepiness kept getting worse. We, that is, me and the other people, floated through a massive, unnatural cavern with black nothing above and black nothing below. But to either side, as far down and up as I could see, were rows and rows and rows of rounded capsules. They all gently glowed with soft white light. Some were empty. Some had bodies. Some of those bodies were definitely human, and some were definitely not. I think this is the part I decided I didn't want to be around here anymore. All the other stuff was weird, but strange bodies and capsules was my threshold. As my hands were going from slight tingle to disturbingly numb, the orb deposited me on a platform and released my arms. I shook my hands out to get the blood flowing again and looked for a solution to my problem. I needed to get away. That much was chillingly clear. But in order to get away from one thing, you have to go somewhere else. I couldn't find somewhere else. Not that it would have done any good, but if I'd known what I was getting away from, I'd probably have looked a little harder.